Fellowship of the Broken, Making Sense of 12-Step Recovery by Angelo. Chapter 41, Step 9. Quote, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Having made our list and become willing in Step 8, it is now time to begin making our amends. The objective may seem to be clearing away the wreckage of our past, but the real purpose is to become instruments of forgiveness. Most of the words are fairly clear, but a few of them are worth exploring. The word direct in this context means frank, straight to the point, explicit, and without intermediaries or intervening factors. The word amends is the same as in Step 8 and means compensation or making up for wrongdoing. The words wherever possible mean in every case that is achievable or can be done. The word except means other than or not including. The word injure in this respect means to do physical or emotional harm. The words them or others refer to the potential recipient of the amend and to any other individual. Step 9 is therefore about making amends to those we have harmed, but being careful not to cause more harm in the process. If it is felt that attempting to make an amend will result in emotional, physical or financial harm to other people, then such amends should not be made. The willingness expressed in Step 8 will be sufficient. We should always be mindful of others when making amends. Indeed, we should now ideally be selfless and mindful of others at all times. Amends should therefore acknowledge the emotional, physical or financial harms done to others without reference to any harm that we may feel they have done to us. This is about clearing away our side of the street without any expectations as to what the other person may do or say. Reparation of this sort is not transactional. We take the initiative without any anticipation of reward. The Big Book wording on Step 9 offers great insight. Suggestions are made regarding certain types of amends and examples are also given. The point is made that although we are at this stage attempting to put our own lives in order, the real purpose is to be an instrument of consciousness. The point is also made that a one-off apology is often insufficient and that compensation should really be in the form of living amends on an ongoing basis. Emphasis is made that a life based on spiritual principles is not theoretical or abstract, but practical and actionable. Evangelism should be avoided, and instead we should concentrate on our own behaviour. We can be a humble expression of consciousness without demeaning or devaluing ourselves. The essay on Step 9 in 12 Steps and 12 Traditions also provides useful guidance and in particular offers advice on prioritization and timing of our amends. Whatever the form of an amend or the timing, the motive should always be selfless and the emphasis should be on forgiveness. Step 9 is also the part of the Big Book that contains the promises of recovery. These promises are often read out at the end of meetings in the UK. They offer a vision of what life in recovery can look like. The promises appear on pages 83 and 84 of the 4th edition and read, quote, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? Well, we think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Close quote. The wording of these promises is very important, and there's a great deal that we can glean from them. The promises relate to the phase of recovery that is roughly halfway through making our amends. They do not arise halfway through the 12 steps, nor do they happen halfway through any other time period that we might imagine. Some of them may come true earlier to some extent, but we should not let this lull us into a false sense of security. If we have the mistaken belief that the promises will come true simply by going to 12-step meetings and remaining abstinent, then we are setting ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. Likewise, if we work through the steps in a half-hearted way, then the promises will not fully result. Perhaps the most important yet overlooked word in the promises is if. This word appears right at the beginning and also in the last sentence. The promises are contingent on being painstaking and on putting in the work. The promises are not theoretical. They are promises. The word promise means assurance or guarantee. These things are guaranteed to happen if we work through the steps diligently. Notice that the promises include things that we will lose and also experiences that we will gain. We are promised to lose regret, uselessness, self-pity, selfishness, fear of people, fear of economic insecurity, bafflement, and failure. All of these things are aspects of the personal ego self. It's clear that if we let go of identification with the personal ego self, then we will lose these undesirable human aspects. It's also this change in identity that can give rise to the gains. We are promised to gain freedom, happiness, understanding, peace, usefulness, altruism, selflessness, changed attitude, intuition, and certainty. Well, these gains are obviously desirable. They arise from the qualities of non-personal consciousness. And this is why the promises are guaranteed. All human beings are expressions of consciousness. There are no exclusions. Existence depends upon consciousness. Existence is consciousness. If we relinquish our personal ego selves, then pure consciousness will emerge. It really is that simple. The rate at which this happens will vary. Sometimes it will be quick, other times it will be slow. The variation in speed will depend entirely on the diligence and persistence with which the steps are practiced. There are no shortcuts. If we want the promises to come true for us, then we need to put in the committed action. And it's our decision. we're already supposed to have made this decision in step 3, but experience shows that step 3 nearly always needs to be reaffirmed and deepened. The step 9 promises are the carrot that works in tandem with the stick of step 1. Together they can bring about forward movement in even the most challenging of cases. A literal understanding of step 9 would be that we work through our list over time and make amends to those people who we think are worthy of our remorse. Amends typically take the form of one-off apologies or financial compensation. Other amends will be more specific. Sometimes letters are written, especially when people have passed away and are no longer with us. We will avoid amends if we feel that the raising of old issues may cause emotional harm to others. Sometimes we use this as an excuse to delay amends indefinitely, when really a gesture of forgiveness might be extremely beneficial. A deeper level of understanding would be that true amends require more than a one-off apology or other gesture of compensation. 12-step recovery is about living life on an entirely different basis. Our amends should be living amends, in the sense that our ongoing attitude and behaviour should be based on spiritual principles rather than our personal agenda. This will be particularly true in our intimate relationships and general family conduct. Our behaviour in active addiction has undoubtedly caused great emotional harm to those who are closest to us and care about us. Our amends should be in the form of an ongoing commitment to think, feel and behave in accordance with the qualities of consciousness. Repeated behaviour in line with step 7 will naturally feed into living amends. This is primarily for the benefit of others, but it will also help us to move further along the spectrum of balance between human and being. The next level of understanding is that step 9 is really all about the act of forgiveness. I covered this in step 8 in respect of the willingness to forgive, but now we put this willingness into action. Amends are approached with care, compassion and sincerity. The focus is on emotional healing and reconciliation in the spirit of forgiveness. If our approach is not well received, then we do not react or respond unkindly to anything that may arise in the other person. It may well be that the other person really needs to vent their anger or frustration with our past behaviour. This can be a necessary part of their healing. We respond in line with the qualities of consciousness and resist taking their response personally, even if the ego mind tries to pull us back into a defensive mode. Just observing our own reactions will provide more impetus for step 7. On the other hand, the amend may be well received and lead to mutual forgiveness and emotional healing. It will literally lift the spirits of both parties. Consciousness will be connecting with itself through the interactions between the one making amends and those who receive them. Step 9 can be a very powerful shift away from the personal ego self towards non-personal consciousness. It feels good because we are acting in line with the harmonious nature of spirit. We are becoming increasingly selfless. This is why the promises start to come true during this phase of the transformation. The deepest understanding of step 9 would be that the making of amends through the expression of forgiveness is the unifying movement of consciousness itself. Again, I've already covered this in step 8. The effect of actually making amends will be even more impactful than our willingness to do so. This should be true regardless of how the other person reacts. Every amend will have some benefit. The underlying truth is that the individual who is making the amend and the individual who is receiving it are both expressions of the same consciousness. All human beings long for a return to happiness, peace, love, and unity, in the same way as our metaphorical bath sponge. It is a natural desire, but we generally prevent it because we insist on taking life personally. The making and receiving of amends is a vibrational exchange at a level of consciousness higher than the condensed, limited human ego mind. It is consciousness resonating with consciousness at a higher vibration. It feels good because the natural state of pure consciousness is unity. The prodigal son wants to return home, and the making of amends is a big part of the journey in this direction. With this understanding, we should be motivated to make amends to as many people as possible, rather than trying to do the minimum. The more we do, the more the promises will come true. My own experience of Step 9 has been very mixed. As before, my understanding at the outset was very limited, and hence my early amends were clumsy. I took the personal view that all of my past harmful behaviour had been the result of addiction, and hence I tried to use addiction as an excuse. This was not well received, and rightly so. My amends lacked the essential ingredient of humility. As understanding matured, I began to see that addiction is not just part of a personal self that is otherwise without fault. The whole personal ego self is the problem, and addiction has simply amplified and highlighted all of the ego traits. Amends need to arise from the qualities of consciousness rather than from a personal self that tries to justify and excuse its harmful behaviour. I learned from this early experience, and hence my subsequent amends have had more positive outcomes. My most recent amend has been the most meaningful so far in terms of forgiveness and emotional healing. I still have some amends to make, but feel uncertain about timing. I'm willing and eager to proceed, but this is tempered by a feeling of not wanting to do more harm than good. The solution to this conundrum is prayer. I'm confident that the multitudinous expressions of consciousness throughout life will conspire to provide the right opportunities at the right time. There is, in my experience, no rush to complete Step 9, but equally it would be unwise to delay unnecessarily. It is also my experience that the Step 9 promises do come true. It has taken some time, but I now can confirm and relate to every statement made. The promises may seem extravagant from the point of view of a personal self, but they undoubtedly do come true as identification with the personal self fades. These promises are what we have been seeking as the personal self. We personally pursue these things in countless different ways without ever realizing that it's over-identification with the personal ego self that has prevented us from experiencing what we desire on any sustainable basis. This is the ultimate irony of life. We already are that which we seek, but we've been completely unaware of this truth due to the original mistake of overlooking our own true nature as consciousness. We no longer regret the past. We remain aware of our former mistakes. We see that 12-step recovery is the gateway to transformation. We become deeply grateful for this opportunity to experience the beauty and wonder of life. and we express this gratitude through fully embracing the remaining steps. The butterfly is emerging from the chrysalis and discovers that it now has wings. These wings will be of no use unless they are put into action. If we want to fly, then we have to use our wings, and we have to keep using them. If we stop using them, then we will fall back to the ground. It's time to practice self-awareness, self-contemplation, and self-forgetting on a continuous basis.